Hello.
Hello.
So, can you start?
Yeah.
So, can you just give me some introduction about your past technical experience?
I've been working as a Java backend developer in from past 3 years. And talking about my roles and responsibilities, I've been part of various phases of implementation lifecycle, like starting from requirement gathering to development and deployment of the project. And talking about my skill sets, I'm well versed in core Java, Spring Boot, Spring Batch, and I've also worked on REST API architecture and microservices. Other than that, Oracle and MySQL as backend database.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, we'll start with some basics. So, can you tell me what is mean by abstraction?
Abstraction is like achieved by we can achieve abstraction using abstract class or interfaces. Abstract means like not completely implemented class. Like if there is there are some unimplemented method in class. That class can be considered as abstract class.
Okay. So, can we write abstract class without any abstract method?
Abstract class should have at least one abstract method.
Is it mandatory?
Yeah, it's mandatory. Yeah, it should have at least one abstract method.
Okay. Okay, fine. So, any other way by which we can achieve abstraction in Java?
Yeah, we can also use interfaces. Interfaces,
Interfaces?
yeah.
So, can you tell me where to use abstract class and where to use interface?
Like we can extend only one abstract class, but we can inherit or implement multiple uh, interfaces at the same time. So that's the
Okay.
advantages for interface. That's it.
Okay.
Mm. Other than that,
Okay. So,
mm,
can we write implementation in interface?
implementation of an interface. Yeah,
Yeah. Inter Can we write method implementation in interface?
it's allowed after 1.8 version Java, where we can define some default method and static method.
Okay.
Other than
So
that, it's yeah,
only for default method we can write implementation, is it?
yeah, not for the abstract method or other method are considered as abstract method in interface.
Okay. So, and what will be the access specifier for non-implemented methods?
Access specifier in interface.
Yep.
It would be public, I guess. If we define it as public, it would be public.
Okay. Can we declare variable in interface?
Variables in interface. Yes, yeah. We can declare variables.
Variable or constant?
Sorry, variable or
Okay. If we declare variable, what will be the access specifier for that?
okay. I'm not sure about it, but I guess it would be public only, or should be default, I guess. By default, all the access specifier are default in classes, so it should be in interface also.
So,
By
if in interface I don't specify any access specifiers for a method, so it will be default. That what you want to say?
yeah,
Okay. Okay. Do you know what is meant by immutable?
yeah. Immutable means like we can change the content of the object. Like
Okay.
in case of strings, strings are immutable. So every time we create a new string, we are with the same content, we are referring to the same string inside the memory. There is a concept of string pool in strings, where If we if we created a string with literal, it is created inside a string pool memory. And if we again create the same string with different variable having the same value, so it would check first that if this string is present in the string pool or not. If it is present, then it would return the same reference to the other variable.
Okay.
Yeah.
So suppose we have one student class which is having roll number and name. Roll number is integer, name is string. And we want to create this student class as immutable. So what should we do?
Okay. So immutability can be achieved by we first need to define the member variable as
Mhm.
private static, I guess. And we don't need to provide any setters. We will give only getters. And while we are getting the object, we should clone the object and return.
Okay. So uh, you said like we need to write a member variable as static and final, right?
Hmm.
Any reason for that?
We don't need to private static actually. We don't need like from other class any other variable is not any other thing is not able to access that variable actually. So that's why the private static.
So for private, I can understand will not any other thing will not be able to access.
Hmm.
What is the purpose of static?
Static, it I don't think it should be static. I'm forgetting. I guess it should be final. Final means that we can't change it.
Final or static?
I'm confused about it. I'm not sure about it. I have
Okay.
read it immutability. There are three steps actually, so I'm not sure about it.
Okay. Okay. So can you tell me like which type of constructor you will be writing?
There would be a default constructor where
Okay.
would be we would be creating the object of that, and we would be setting that object in that constructor.
Okay. So each object will have the same value, is it?
Each, sorry, each object would have same value. No,
Yeah.
we would check. I don't think. Yeah, the object we created in the global scope, we would be setting in the constructor, default constructor. Like
So object
object
created.
of class dot this is equals to whatever the object is.
So you will be updating your object in default constructor that you want to say.
Actually, I'm not able to recall what was the immutability clauses actually. So
Okay. Okay, fine. So can you tell me what is the use of final keyword if I use it with class?
final keyword.
Yep.
Yeah, if class is final, then it means that it can be inherited.
Okay. Can you tell me different type of exception that we have in Java?
There are runtime exception and other class not found exception, which comes under other type of exception. There are several types of exception, but I know that there are two checked and unchecked exception. Checked are those which are checked at the compile time, and at the compile time which are not like checked that are checked at runtime. Like at runtime they are noticed. They are unchecked exception.
Okay. So which one are mandatory to handle?
Which one are mandatory? Like unchecked exceptions are mandatory to handle, I guess. Every time if we get any file not found or we handle actually both the kind of exceptions in our program.
No, which one are mandatory to handle?
Mandatory. Like if we don't check as exception, it would give a compile time error only. So we should check it, the checked exception.
Okay, so unchecked exceptions are not mandatory to handle. That you
No,
want to say?
unchecked exception are also like we can check both type of the exception
Okay, okay. How we can handle exceptions in Java?
using try catch block.
Anything else?
We no, I don't think so. I have used only try catch block only.
Okay, okay, fine. So suppose there is a code block and for which I want to handle exception.
Hmm.
So in case of arithmetic exception, I want to call method A, and in case of other exceptions, I want to call method B.
Hmm.
How can I write code for this in Java?
So the exception part where we are expecting an exception, we would be placing that into the try block. Under that, the first catch block would be arithmetic exception, and under that we would be calling the method A with some sort of message we need to write log. And the second exception would be exception E. It's the parent class of runtime exception, and under that we can call the method B with the specific message we would like to log.
Okay. What if I write exception block first and after that arithmetic exception?
Then always it would call the method B because exception is the root class, and under that there is a runtime exception, and under that there is the arithmetic exception. So it won't check arithmetic exception. It would get an exception and it would call the method B, and it won't be catching the second exception.
Okay, okay, fine. So I worked on collections.
Yeah, I've worked on collection.
So which type of collection you have worked on?
I've worked on array list, uh, sets, hash set, and hash maps and all.
Okay, okay. So suppose we have an employee class which is having ID and name.
Okay.
Okay, ID is integer, name is string. Employee class stored in an array list.
Sorry, your voice is breaking actually.
Hello,
Hello.
can you hear me now?
Yes, yes. Yeah.
So we have 10,000 objects of employee class
Hmm.
which are stored in an array list.
Okay.
So out of those 10,000 objects,
Hmm.
some objects are having same name
Hmm.
and same ID.
Okay.
So basically,
Duplicate
those are
records.
duplicates.
Yeah.
We want to separate out all the unique objects from the arrays.
We
So
need to like remove the duplicates or separate the duplicates, and we would only have the unique records in the array list, right?
I want to get all the unique object.
All unique objects. Okay.
How can I get it?
We can like iterate through the array list with an iterator, and while iterating we can get the employees id and like id and name,
Mm-hmm.
but it won't work actually. We can set it into a hash set architecture is so that it won't allow any duplicate values. So we would directly we would create a hash set and put the array list object into that, and the hash we can print the hash set. So yes, this would give all the unique objects.
Okay. So how the headset will identify the duplicates?
Hash set will identify on the basis of the id only. Then we would have to like override the equals method, and we would have to provide that in equals we would need to check id and name both. On the basis of that we can like when we are putting the array list into that hash set, then it would check both of them, and according to that, if there are unique then it would be added into the hash set.
Okay. So only equals method that we need to override.
No, we need to override both equals and hash code, but we I don't think we need to change hash code in this case.
Okay. Why?
Hash code would be generated on the basis of the yeah, hash code. If we want like we need to save the object on the basis of id only. Yeah, we need to change the hash code also. Yes.
Okay. Can you tell me what is the use of hashcode and equals method with respect to asset? Where it will be used?
Actually, hash code is used to convert the value, the key. Sorry, whenever we put an object into a hash set, its value is being converted into a hash code, and according to that hash code, we are placing the object into separate buckets. We have buckets in hash set. So we are place if we get a hash code of a corresponding object, we would place that object into the corresponding hash code bucket. So likewise, we would have to calculate every object's hash code. So using the hashcode method, we are getting the hashcode of every object. And equals method would be like it is implemented for checking the objects. What if an object is different from another object? What are the parameters on the basis of we can define that two objects are different? Hello.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So what if we get an
Sorry.
hashcode for two objects?
Your voice is breaking again.
Hello?
Yeah.
What if we get same hashcode for two objects?
Then there would be a hash collision, and I guess after 1.8 version, Java uses tree kind of data structure to store the objects in the same bucket. In the case of hash collision, both the objects would be stored in the same bucket, but in a specific data structure.
Okay. So it will be using tree structure.
Yeah. Yes.
Any advantage of that?
Uh, I guess the advantage would be the fetching would be fast in tree structure.
So it will be sorted.
Yeah, tree are sorted by default. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So if I want to use tree set
Hmm.
for uh, like for the problem we had discussed,
Hmm.
what should I implement?
Uh, Reset. If we use reset in place of hash set, then the
Mhm.
duplicates are also not allowed, and other than that, we would get a sorting order by default. So the elements would be sorted
So sorting order will depend upon which parameter.
of the employee object, right? It would again check the equals method, I guess, or a hash code method.
For sorting.
No, no. For comparing the objects on, I'm not sure about how to sort in preset. It by default gives us a sorting, so I haven't tried it yet. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Do you know the collections which can be used in multi-threading environment?
Yeah, the collections which are in package java.util.concurrent, like concurrent hashmap and copy on array list, they can be used in multi-threading environment.
Okay. So can you tell me the difference between hash table and concurrent hash map?
Hash table and concurrent hashmap.
Yeah.
Uh, I have not use hash table by myself, but I know that a synchronized map uses hash table internally as a data structure, and
Okay.
synchronized map is a fail fast iterator, I guess, gives a fail fast iterator, while the concurrent hash map is a fail safe iterator, gives a fail safe iterator.
Okay. So can you tell me the difference between fail-fast iterator and fail-safe iterator?
Yeah, fail fast iterator are those like if we are iterating through a collection, and at the same time any other thread tries to structurally change the collection in some sort, like if adding or updating any element, so the collection would return a concurrent modification exception and won't allow the modification. Thus, these type of iterators are fail-fast iterator. While the fail-safe iterator won't give any error while structural change, and it won't even give 100% surety that the change would be applied in the iteration while the iteration. Yeah.
Okay. So change may not be applied while iteration.
Yeah. May not be like if the iteration he has started, and let's
Mm-hmm.
say it's midway, it's in the fifth location,
Mm-hmm.
four have already been readed and printed in the logs or output. So if we are changing the fourth element, then it won't be, I guess, printed in the logs. It would continue and yeah, print till the end, and the change won't be visible in this case.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Okay. So suppose we have a student list. Student object has name, roll number, and marks.
Hmm.
Roll number is integer,
Hmm.
name and marks is also integer and name is string. And from that, we have list of student objects.
Student objects, okay.
Okay, we want to filter out all the student objects who has marks greater than 50 using Java8.
Okay.
So how can we achieve this?
Using lambdas, we can do it by stream. We should first make the stream and then filter, where we can use the lambda expression for all. If there is a variable a, then
Mhm.
A is an employee. If we consider a as an employee, then a dot get marks if it is greater than this, then we should print system dot out as such. We can do it.
So filter you will be writing and anything else? Filter we return a string, right?
Filter would be returning the object only. If the stream we are iterating through, if we are iterating through the employee, then it would be return the employee. After that, we can get the marks or name on the basis of the employee object, yeah, and then print it.
So filter we return student object
Student object, yeah,
that you want to.
yeah.
Okay. And I want to collect, I want to get the data in another list. How can
Another
I
list.
get it?
Yeah, we can collect it dot collect dot to list, and we can provide the employee array list in the left hand side, and the stream we have used the we would exchange the printing with the collection. We would be collecting collect dot to list, and then we would be populating into the array list.
Okay. Now suppose the resultant list I want to sort using uh, alphabetical order of student name, and I want to print those name on console. So how can we do it?
Uh, we can implement a comparator. Uh, we need to sort on the basis of name. First, we have sort. Okay. No, we don't need to use filter in this case. We can map, and but we can use default collection dot sort also, or we can implement our own comparator. But I haven't used comparator, so I would be doing collection dot sort first, and then
But
map.
collection dot sort, how it will know that the list need to be sorted on the name of the student?
Yeah. In the lambdas, we would be using the map function. In the stream, we would be using the map function, and map. I guess in this case we need to use comparator only. So I'm not sure about it how comparator, but I have read it about somewhere. We would be implementing comparator, and inside that we would give a compare to method, where we would be giving two objects, two employee objects, and under that the two employee objects we would compare on the basis of their names, and we the anonymous function closes like that. We can give a comparator, an anonymous implementation of the comparator function.
Okay. So we should use comparator, what you are saying.
Yeah.
Why only comparator? Why not comparable?
Comparable will give a default a sorting order. If we want a default sorting order which is ascending to descending, we can go for comparable. Other than that, we can implement our own comparator.
Okay. Okay. Fine. So you have worked on REST APIs, right?
Yes.
So can you tell me the how you are doing authentication for your services?
Authentication, like we have recently started working on it. We are
Mm,
implementing Spring Security and JWT as an authentication token, where we create a token on the basis of username and password, and
mhm.
uh, uh, giving a timeout like this token should be applicable for this much time, and after that it expires. We have just started to implement it in our project, so I have not much that much knowledge about it.
Okay. So have you written custom configuration in your Spring Boot application?
Custom, I have used like a Spring Batch application also. So there I have used some custom configuration, XML configuration.
Okay. So can you just tell me how you have configured it?
In Spring Batch, there is the in our project. We would have to like generate bulk extracts on the daily basis from DB, wherein like there are several tables. From several tables, we have to create an extract in some processing, do some processing, business logic, and then create an extract. So for that, we have implemented the batch implementation and the Spring Batch application, wherein like we have to configure it in XML format. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
in the XML configuration, we define all the like what are the reader, writer, and processor, and where we need to like write the query. In the reader, we would be having a database item reader, and the query related to that, and what data source we would be hitting, and the processor, what class we should be referring to for the processing, and in the writer logic, we would write that where on what location our output file should be written. Other than that, other configuration we have also done like the data source, the encryption and decryption of the password, and all the dialect and all the whatever the data source uh, properties are needed. We have set through the XML configuration. Other than that, I remember that there is a task executor XML where we define the max pool and core pool size. Like we have a task executor which would be giving our application number of threads to execute our process. So we would be defining the number of threads over there. So this type of configuration I have used here.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Do you know the actuators?
Uh, no, I haven't worked upon it, but I have read it. It's been
Mm-hmm.
used in microservices for performance and checking like how our services are performing,
Okay.
or their health, basically, or their health, how are they performing.
Okay. Fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So can you tell me the difference between put and patch HTTP method?
Okay, put is used for like if we want to update any element, update any resource, sorry. So we can use put. Other than that,
Okay.
patch is being used like if we want to uh, update any like a specific element in the whole. If we have a data object, like there are hundreds of member variables or getters and setters. So if you want to change only one or two like elements in that, so we can use patch over here, and we can only update only those 1 and 2 on the basis of that.
Okay. Which method is idempotent?
Idempotent.
Yep.
In regarding to this HTTP methods you are asking, like put, post, delete.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not sure about it, but idempotent.
Okay. Fine.
Yeah.
Can you tell me the difference between query parameter and path variables?
Yeah. Query parameters we get it from the URI only. The URI with the endpoint which users or client accesses, it would have a question mark and then some values. Which gives us which the application takes as a query parameter. And while sorry, query parameter and path parameter. And path parameter is the in the URI, and
Mm-hmm.
query parameter, I'm not sure about it.
Okay. Fine. Can you tell me the different HTTP response codes which you have used?
There is a response code 200, which is for successful, and response code 500 for application server error. Other than that, we have already defined it like uh, 512 internal server error on the basis of our application, like we have defined it. And I don't remember all the HTTP codes we have defined over there, but
Okay.
200 and to 300 I remember, like they are for successful type of posting response code, and 500 are all for the server side errors. And there are some ranges for all this type of, like 400 I guess, resource not found type of thing, 400 to 500. uh,
Okay.
yeah, I don't remember
Okay.
all
Fine.
the error codes right now.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
So, can you tell me use of Autowire annotation?
Autowire, yeah. Autowire is used for dependency injection, like whenever we need to get an object in any class of we need to get an object of any other class in our code, so we use Autowire annotation, and Spring would be responsible for creating that object and giving us the object.
Mm-hmm.
So while the Spring application, our Spring application starts, it would be scanning for all the components. And if
Mm-hmm.
the class whose object we are using is a component or is being scanned by Spring, then its object would be already available in Spring container, which would be given to us at the time when we need it in the runtime.
Okay. Okay. Fine. So, suppose I have an employee class which I have created two beans, E1 and E2.
Sorry, employee
Okay.
class, we created two beans,
Yeah, E1 and E2.
A1 and A2, two beans. Okay.
And in the employee service, I have written auto-wired employee EMP. So,
Hmm.
which bin will be injected, E1 or E2?
Bean, first bean name is A1, and then the class you are providing is employee in the path, right? And the second bean is A2 with the same class path is employee.
Yeah.
So you have created two bean with different names, and while auto wiring, you are what you are giving, employee.
Employee
Okay.
EMP.
Okay. Yeah, I guess there would be an ambiguous situation here. Like Spring would be having two different employee beans, but on the basis
Mm-hmm.
of the name of the bean, we can separately fetch. But here we didn't give any bean names, so
Mm-hmm.
it would be ambiguous as we are requesting the employee object, and there are two employee object with two different names. So Spring would be confused like which object should be given here.
Okay.
I'm
So
guessing it
how can
actually.
we
I'm guessing
resolve
it.
this
I haven't
confusion?
done it yet. I'm guessing it.
Okay. How can we resolve this confusion?
At the rate qualifier, I guess we can use at the rate qualifier annotation.
Okay.
I haven't used
Okay.
it, but I know that this can be resolved with using at the rate qualifier.
Okay. So fine. So like we have an employee class.
Hmm.
Okay. And in one HTTP request flow,
Hmm.
if I write a code something like application context dot get bean employee 3 times, and
Hmm.
scope of the employee class bean is prototype.
Hmm.
So how many objects will get created?
Three different objects will be created. As a prototype means that every time we are requesting for object, it would be getting a new object. And if the scope is singleton, then it would be giving the same object every time we are requesting for.
If I change scope to request, then
I haven't used any other scope yet, so I have used only singleton and prototype.
okay, okay, fine. So which database you have used?
I've used Oracle 11G and MySQL for my own learning, like locally.
Okay, anything about NoSQL databases?
Sorry,
NoSQL databases.
no SQL I've used in my college project. One of the NoSQL like Firebase I've used in my project, but
Mm-hmm.
not that much in my professional career.
Okay, how you are testing your application?
The testing part is being taken care by the QA team actually. But the unit testing, like for my sake, I take care of like the test case of the scenario. We just
Mm-hmm.
started to implement JMeter in our REST API, where we like create different cases, and uh, one senior is like giving us KT for that JMeter. It's not yet implemented, but right now the testing part is taken care by QA team only. We just only test it once in Swagger, like API is up or not, and it's
Okay,
giving
okay,
proper response or not, like that.
okay, okay, fine. Have you worked on JUnits?
Sorry, J?
JUnits.
No, no, I haven't worked on J. We started working on meter only for testing the API.
Okay. Okay. Have you worked on any design pattern?
Design pattern, yeah, indirectly like this only is I've used prototype and singleton in Spring. Uh, Other than
Mm-hmm.
that, I've also know that there are factory pattern, and uh, I've used like structural design pattern only, like sorry, creational, not structural, creational design pattern only.
Okay, so which are they?
Like mentioned, like uh, singleton and prototype and this factory design pattern and builder design pattern. These are the creational design pattern.
Okay, okay, fine. Yes, that's it from my side. So do you have any question?